morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Obviously, pancakes and sausages are the way to get people out to Trent, so I hope you've enjoyed your breakfast. I just want to speak for a moment about philanthropy and what it means to me, to Trent. It is National Philanthropy Week. Yesterday was designated National Philanthropy Day, and we're the first country to do that, which I think is very appropriate. And yes, Peterborough is the center of the philanthropy universe. I really do believe that. Philanthropy to me is looking outside of yourself to how you can give to other people, whether that's your time, your money, your resources, your ideas. And it really does enrich your own life quite substantially while you're enriching other people's. And I look around and I've worked with many people here in different capacities, and they've given so much to me, and then in return they've given to other people. It's a wonderful cycle of giving, and it's a great thing to celebrate. And I'm just delighted that we can do that here at Trent. Everything you see at Trent really is inspired by gifts from people, and Trent was born out of the community's desires and has been nourished over the years by the community's hopes and wishes and gifts. And so this is a time for us to reflect on that, to recommit ourselves to giving, to start the next generation, to build the world that we want. And it's a wonderful thing to be a part of, so I'm just all delighted that you could be here with us today. We have the opportunity in our department to hear and to see the stories of the impact that you make every day. So one of the important things for us this morning is to be able to share those stories. As you meet the people at the tables today, we've got volunteers who contribute in many different ways, through fundraising, through our legacy campaign, to United Way, through planning for the 50th anniversary, our Trent Business Council, volunteers who help with our athletics. There's so many ways to get involved and give back. And perhaps you'll also discover something else that might give you an interest. But it is really today about saying thank you, about celebrating what we've done and the legacy that we're living with today, and the legacy that we want to leave in the future. So please enjoy the speakers this morning, and thank you again. I also want to bring greetings from President Franklin. He's out in PEI for the Simonston Federation lecture, and so he regrets that he couldn't be here today, but he also expresses his deepest and most sincere thanks.
I have been asked to talk a little bit about my research, so please make sure that you have your coffee and tea topped up, because you might need it to stay awake for the next few minutes. My research is generally centered around something called dissolved organic matter. It's a curiously concise scientific term for something that is very, very diverse. Dissolved organic matter arises chiefly from the breakdown of plant and animal matter in water, and so it has virtually all of the possible sources that it could. But we treat it scientifically as one thing. It does have what are known as optical properties, or the ability to absorb and retransmit light. And it has a source signature based on those optical properties. So that can be used for tracing different water sources. For instance, in the Arctic, different Arctic flows from different oceans have different layers in the Arctic, and the dissolved organic matter has different signatures, optical signatures, because of that. Dissolved organic matter is also very important in possibly remediating metals, heavy metals and other pollutants from water courses. It binds with the heavy metals and removes them from their free form in the water so that they can't be consumed. So it reduces their toxicity. On the other hand, it also binds with chlorine, and in water treatment processes, this results in disinfection byproducts which are potentially carcinogenic. Now, how does this relate to dissolved organic matter? Generally is through the source signature. My research is based on mapping or fleshing out the relationship between dissolved organic matter's function as it binds metals and its source, so its source signature. So that's basically my area of research, and I've been fortunate enough to travel up to the Arctic with Celine. Celine sent me there on the Canadian icebreaker, the Louis St. Laurent, and it was a very enlightening experience. And she's able to offer that experience to many other students as well. I've also been asked to speak to what receiving the Bank of Montreal's Future Green Leaders Scholarship means to me. Other than the obvious fact that, of course, I can now buy food and pay the bills without having to have a part-time job and take away from my studies. The Future Green Leaders Scholarship and Leader Scholarship in general has reawakened my personal passion for leadership. Fundamental to me to the notion of leadership is the notion of service. A leader has a duty to serve the people that they're working for, that they're leading. And so I then have a duty to enable, assist, facilitate, and inspire other students in the university, as well as through my mentoring, to pursue their own excellence through post-secondary education. And so I guess what receiving the Green Leader Scholarship means to me is that I have more work to do. I have my scientific work, and I have this other duty. I do have this duty to assist other people to find their own excellence as well. And that is what a Leader Scholarship means to me. And I'm grateful to the Bank of Montreal for the scholarship, and also to all of you for your generous donations. Your donations do get multiplied, magnified by the philanthropy of the recipients as well. So I'd like to thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I'm just going to speak very briefly to you as well about what some of my research is here at Trent. So since I started here, I've been looking at the effect of invasive zebra mussels. Oh, sorry if you can't hear me. The effect of invasive zebra mussels on lake whitefish populations in the Great Lakes. So I'm spending a lot of time looking at how these invasive mussels have affected the feeding behavior as well as the growth rate of the whitefish across a bunch of different Great Lakes populations. It means that I've spent a lot of time in the lab, a lot like Chad, but in my case, looking at small scale samples from each of the whitefish, and they go back into the 1950s and 1960s. I'm trying to get an idea of how these fish have changed and how much they're growing every year since before the invasion of mussels in the Great Lakes and after. So that's more or less what I'm working on, and I'm just about finishing up, so I'm excited to share some of the results of my research in the next couple of months. But as was just mentioned, I'm also was a winner of the Environmental Restoration Bursary from Trent, which was a great help financially to my experience here at Trent. And so I'd like to say thank you for everyone who participates in giving money for these programs. In my particular case, it helped me mainly, the same things that Chad said. It helps to buy food, it helps to pay the rent, all of those kind of things. But it also just lessens the stress of worrying about my finances while I'm here studying at Trent, so that I can focus on my studies and not have to worry about having another job in order to pay the bills. As was also mentioned, it's allowed me to be a member of a Trent athletic club, which has been a great experience here at Trent. So I started swimming here on the Trent synchronized swimming team last year, and then this year I was fortunate to take over as the president of the club. And there are a lot of financial burdens, I should say, that go along with being a member of a club like that. But having this extra money from the bursary has helped me to feel confident that I can afford to do these things and have the full Trent experience here. So I'd just like to say thank you again on behalf of everyone that received any sort of bursary or scholarship from donations that were given to Trent, as it's helped us so much, and we really, really appreciate everything you guys have done. So thank you.
Talk a little bit about, and again, 3 minutes, a little bit about what giving means to us, and by us I mean the Trent community. Basically, one of the things that drew me to Trent and then back to Trent after 10 years of touring the continent was that we really care about our students. That there isn't a great divide between the professors and the students, and between teaching and research that you sometimes find in larger, more impersonal institutions. Another element is that we really are part of this community in a way that is very unusual. And that's to be valued. That's very much to be valued and to be supported. And I came into the Department of English and found that I had walked into a community that had drunk the water very much. My senior professors in my department had been working for years to improve scholarships. They had been working for years to make sure there were bursaries so that students in need had money to continue their studies. And one of the great joys I've had over the past couple of years, well, actually, looking back, the past 8 years, has been working on an initiative out of the English department called the 2014 Initiative. We looked at our numbers, and we found that many of the people in my department who had built the department, who had really helped create the culture of Trent University, were going to be retiring before the 50th anniversary, before 2014. And between 2006 and 2014, well, this spring actually, 10 people who had built that culture were going to be retiring. And so we began to work together to put in place for our students scholarships, prizes, bursaries. And I've had annually conversations with my colleagues retiring, people like Michael Peterman over here. What do you want to do? What do you want to do to enrich the experience of the students who are coming? And they've allowed us very generously to fundraise around their retirements and to create bursaries, prizes, funds for innovations in the arts, funds for our graduate students to travel and present their research at conferences or to go to research libraries to do the work that they've come here to do without having to sacrifice rent or food. And I must say that's been one of the most inspiring things about my time at Trent, has been watching people actually leaving and giving back, continuing to give back. And I just want to celebrate the culture that inspires that sort of assistance and support for the students who come here. Thank you.
Thank you for that nice introduction, and thank you for everybody for coming this morning. It's really my pleasure today to talk about the David Schindler Professorship, which was, as mentioned, was funded by an anonymous donation to Trent. And it was named after David Schindler, who's one of Canada's leading ecologists and environmental scientists, has been really leading a crusade for the last few decades to improve Canada's environmental policy and to make our environment cleaner. So it was really a great honor for me to be able to assume the professorship that was named after Dave 2 years ago. And I just want to take a few minutes to talk about what this professorship has meant to me and my professional life. So the professorship allowed the biology department at Trent to hire someone, and that ended up being me. And this was in an atmosphere of somewhat of financial problems for the university, where we had sort of an ongoing series of hiring freezes, and there weren't really a lot of positions being created. And so with that atmosphere, it was actually very exciting when Trent was able to hire a professor in aquatic science, which was a position that I was well suited for. And this was particularly exciting for the university because it has a strategic research vision and maintains a level of excellence in aquatic science within Canada. So if you look across Canada and you say which university really excels in this area, Trent would be one of the top. And so to be able to hire a professor in aquatic science, which is, again, something I was well suited for, it created something where there was going to be nothing. So after I was able to assume the position, the professorship brought along with it some funds, which allowed us to buy some new equipment and to pay the salaries of one of my graduate students. So this has furthered my research and allowed us to do things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. It also has been really significant because along with the funds that came with the professorship, I'm able to organize a lecture series every year. And Trent being somewhat of a small university, we don't get a lot of external speakers and such coming here. And so when we were able to create something like a lecture series, this is really great for the university and for the academic atmosphere. So with the lecture series and dedicated funds that allow us to bring someone, we're able to bring a leading researcher under the name of the David Schindler Professorship, which sort of enhances our academic atmosphere. But the lecture is also designed to have that person talk to the public. So we've had one lecture so far, and that was this last spring, and there was over 200 people who came to listen to an expert that I was able to invite from Dartmouth University, and she talked about algae. And it was a mixture of students and faculty, but there was probably at least 50% of the audience that came from the public to hear about what you would think might not be the most interesting topic, but algae is actually something people want to talk about or listen to. So we have another one planned for this year, and I think it's going to be also a considerable success. And finally, I'd say what the professorship does is it gives me a platform to raise awareness about water and environmental issues. When you're a professor, there's sort of you feel a special responsibility to teach students and to educate the public about issues related to what you do research on. And having a professorship actually raises your profile and makes that job a little bit easier. So as you can see, there's a considerable difference that philanthropy through the professorship has made for both me and my students, and with that I would just say thank you.
Thank you, Paul, and also thank you as well to Chad, Shannon, and Beth for sharing your stories of philanthropy, your personal experiences, and your work. We are fortunate to have such visionary researchers, students, and faculty here. And we are equally fortunate to have such champions of philanthropy among us this morning to help make those accomplishments possible. I hope you take away a personal sense of accomplishment, knowing that you have helped a little bit of what make possible of what Beth and Chad and Shannon and Paul have spoken about. Our entire community benefits from this partnership in philanthropy that is evidence here this morning. At this time, we're also happy to give something back to at least one lucky person per table. If you check under your seat and you have a National Philanthropy Day logo under your chair, if so, you have just won a copy of a book by Jeff Rubin, who kindly came up to Trent and gave a lecture on sustainability-related matters. The book is called The End of Growth, and Julie at English at the back has copies if you are the lucky winner. We're coming to the end of our remarks this morning, but I just want to remind you of something Miriam Beard once said. She said, "The results of philanthropy are always beyond calculation." So I'll say that again. The results of philanthropy are always beyond calculation. I hope that your conversations this morning with some of the students at your table, or the faculty, or the volunteers, or the coaches, or the people who make this place tick have been rewarding. Thank you for your incalculable generosity of time, treasure, and talent. Thank you for being with us this morning and for celebrating National Philanthropy Day. Have a great day.